All right, thanks everybody. Welcome to today's office hours. I think people are still filtering in a bit, so we'll give them a couple minutes, but in a couple minutes we will start the demo. Shweta Nodoti will talk about the doing a 3-node demonstration with the certificate system. Thanks, and with that, I'm gonna mute myself and turn it over to Shweta. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to revisit certificate signing request operation that Craig had talked about in previous office hours. As a refresher, for RabbitMq based Volttron, authentication is based on SSL certificate based authentication. So the way it works is that for each platform creates its own self-signed CA certificate. The RabbitMq broker has to be configured with a certificate, server certificate signed by this CA certificate. And all the agents that are created or connecting to this platform has to have a client certificate signed by the same CA certificate. So the platform starts and it creates a self-signed certificate. We have a configuration step before starting the platform that is used to create a self-signed certificate. Based on that, a server certificate is created and RabbitMq broker is configured to use that server certificate. Then any agents that are created henceforth has to have, and if it wants to connect to this platform, has to have a certificate signed by this CA. Everything works fine if it is a single platform installation and agents are connecting to that platform alone. The problem arises when we have a multiple platform connection that wants to talk to each other or connect to each other. We have several ways of doing that. We have RabbitMq plugins that we are leveraging, like Federation and Shovel, that allow you to do a simple connection under the hood, and the traffic flow is smooth. There's also the old way of having the agent establish the connection to the platform directly. If that is the case, then that agent, as part of its connection process, has to have a certificate signed by the other platform. As I said before, each platform has its own self-signed certificate. So we have automated this certificate signing request operation within the VOLLTRON platform. We have a web-based server API for requesting, listing, approving, or denying a server signing request. So there is some background information on this in the documentation. You can always go and take a look at it. So supposing that you have a remote agent that wants to connect to another instance, we have a ready-made API exposed now through the auth subsystem connect remote platform. That what it does under the hood is sends a certificate signing request to the remote instance. The remote instance should be web enabled for this to work. Then any user can go to the admin page and either approve or deny such a request. If it is approved, then as a response to this request, a certificate signed by that local CA is returned back, and the agent can go ahead and do the connection with this CSR approved certificate. So let's see that Craig was unable to do this demo earlier, so I'm going ahead and doing that now. So in this demo, we have a 3-node setup. The first one, the leftmost will act as a central node, and it will host a Volttron central agent, a Volttron central platform agent, and a listener agent. To showcase backward compatibility support, we have a second instance named as node ZMQ that will operate only on ZMQ bus. And we have a third collector instance that will operate on RMQ bus or RabbitMq bus. Node ZMQ and node RMQ will act as collector boxes in the sense that we will have a fake driver running on this, sending messages for a fake device. Each of this will also have a forwarder agent that is sending this local messages back to the central node here. And lastly, it will also have Volttron central platform agent to also send its operational status back to Volttron Central. So with this use case, let's go ahead and actually start the demonstration. So first and foremost, each of the Volttron instances have to be bootstrapped accordingly. So Volttron's, the central node and the node RMQ will be bootstrapped with RMQ options. So it will go ahead and download the RMQ server package and then install it for us, and then also install the Python library for RabbitMq Pika also for us. Once that is done, the next step is to set up a Volttron instance in each of the nodes. So the way we do it is simply type the Volttron config command. So we are configuring a RMQ instance here. I'm going to name the instance as central. This is pointing to the default RMQ server location, which is true. And it's asking for a domain name of the instance, which is the host name, and it is central in this case. And the next is it's making a request for a new self-signed root certificate. I press enter and give the basic information that is needed. So this will create a CA certificate for us and make Volttron instance to use that CA certificate. So this RMQ Volttron has backward compatibility with ZMQ because we have suppose we have an old version of Volttron running in the mix, then we need to provide backward compatibility support to that. So for that, we need to still provide the VIP address here. And I'm going to, since it's platforms from other systems have to connect to it, I'm going to expose the public facing IP here. And use the default port. And lastly, the next step is to make it web enabled. I'll go ahead and say yes to it. The port, the web address is HTTPS central and the port is 8443. Yes, I want a Volttron central instance here. In this case, provide some username and password for it. Auto start option is yes. Then the next step is to install Volttron Central Platform Agent. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Instance name was set to central. This is the web address. It remains the same. Port is 8443. You can change it to whatever port is appropriate in your case. I'm going to make this as not to auto start, and because I want to showcase the CSR request operation here, so I'm not going to set it to yes. In that case, have a platform historian to store the data. I don't need a master driver. I will need a listener agent to see that the data is coming in. So this is the configuration for node central. So I'm going to go ahead and start the instance real quick to see everything is up and running. Check the status. So there's an issue or a bug here. I will have to do this again. And this, I'm working on this. We are working on this bug. Sorry. If you could see that even though I had set up the process to install VC and VCP, it didn't do that. So now it recognizes that. So as I said, we're working on this right now. And if I tail the log, I should have Volttron Central up and running here. So now if I start Volttron Central platform, it internally makes a CSR request to its own platform, because VCP generally connects. You can have VCP installed in the local platform or in a remote platform. So that started. And to see if that made a CSR request, I'm going to open up the admin page. /index.html. This is the URL for that page. Accept the risk. So here initially it will request for the user to register the username and password. So go ahead and type any password, username and password here. That becomes the master password. You can log in using that. And initially, there are no server signing requests seen here. But if you start, sorry, I typed the wrong user ID. It should be C. And if you refresh the page here, you see a pending request here coming in from the local VCP agent. Go ahead and approve this request. And then you get a response back saying approved. Under the hood in the back end, certificate signed by the local CA is sent as response. And if you look at the status, it says it's running. And so you will see that it is collecting information here. Now, supposing that you have a ZMQ instance in the mix, how do we do that? So the configuration is pretty simple in this case. You will just set the VIP address, which can be the loopback address, no problem. I don't want it to be web enabled because it acts as a collector box. But I will need a VCP agent here. So I will name this instance as collector 1. Host name, since we are connecting to the central instance, I'm going to set the host name of VOLTRON Central as of that of central instance. The port number in this case is 8443 as we configured earlier. I don't want it to auto start. I don't want a platform historian in this case, but I will need a fake driver. Configuring it. Don't mind if it auto starts. I don't need a listener agent. Go ahead and start the platform. Let's check if everything is up and running. Yes, I see the master driver getting ready. So the status of the master driver is good. I haven't started the VOLTRON Central Platform agent in the local platform yet. I'll go ahead and start that. So since it's the old ZMQ process, what we will see is an auth failure here. I'm going to grab for that. Step 4. See, so it's trying, the VOLTRON Central Platform agent is trying to make a connection to this platform. And since it is not authenticated to do that, you see an auth failure here. We'll go ahead and add an auth entry the old ZMQ way. Give a unique identifier here. VCP. No need of any of these things. And the credentials will be that of the VCP. So the way you get that is by typing VOLTRON VCTL auth public key. So you'll see 2 entries here, one that of that one corresponding to master driver and the other corresponding to VCP. We'll take the one corresponding to VCP and add the credentials here. So in this case, you will see that there was a successful authentication. Yeah, you see this here. And the server, a public key matches that of VCP on node ZMQ. So that's how we establish connection from ZMQ. Now let's have one setup from RMQ on the right hand side. So node RMQ, in this case, I'm going to name the instance for this case as collector 2, default RMQ home, and then the domain name of the system, which is that. Would you like to create a newly signed certificate for this platform? Yes. Give some information for the root certificate generation. Default RabbitMq ports and virtual host is being used. So this, if it has the loopback address, it's fine. Default, I don't need the local instance on this node on the collected box to be web enabled, so it's fine. But I do need a VCP agent here. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. So the web address of VOLTRON Central is needs to be provided, which is https://central. Port is different. It's 8443 HTTPS port. Don't want to auto start it in the beginning just to showcase the CSR operation. Don't need a platform historian in this case, but I do need a fake driver configured. And a listener agent. I'm going to go ahead and start the platform to see that they are up and running. So in this case, fake driver is running and VCP is not running. So I'm going to start that now. So when this platform agent is started, what it does is it requests for a CSR to the central platform. And if you go back to this web admin page and refresh it, you will see two entries. One that is approved for the local instance and another one that is pending coming from collector 2 platform agent. So I'll go ahead and approve. And if you deny, then the response is returned back as denied, and it is up to the agent on what it needs to do. What we have done for VCP is that it's going to just shut down the agent and figure out what is the cause for the denial. Now, if you see here, you will see that it is authenticated and connection is authenticated. Both the status of both is good. Now, how do we know that things are working fine? We can go to the Volttron central page to do that. So the URL is https://8443/vc/index.html. So here, if you go to platforms, you will have this local platform and then collector 1 and collector 2. If you're going to each of them, you will see the agents running in those platforms. So we know that VCP on collector 1 and collector 2 was able to establish the connection. Now let's have the forwarder also forward some local data to the central node. So in that case, what we have to do is set up the configuration to point to the central node. So if in the ZMQ case, it's business as usual. So I'm going to just modify the existing configuration of forward historian. So I had one already ready. So the destination VIP is pointing to the central node here, but the server key might have changed. So to grab that, you'll have to type auth server key command here. So this is the server key of the central node instance. Can start that using install agent script. So we are in the process of writing the documentation. It's nearly written. It just needs to be made public. So where am I? Yeah, just going to grab this command here. So have a ready-made install script. You just have to provide the path to the source and path to the configuration, and start will essentially do the auto start for you. So then, since we do not have an authentication entry on the central node, you'll again get a failure here. You just need to grab the public key here and add that. These can be default. This can be unique ID can be ZMQ forwarder. This can be empty. Add the credentials. So if you see data coming in from the ZMQ node, I have a listener agent just for this purpose. So you will see that the data is coming in from ZMQ node. And how do I see? It's picked up by the proxy router, which is basically for backward compatibility support. So this, I don't have any master driver running in the central node. So this is definitely coming from the ZMQ node. So how I'll show a similar case in for the RMQ, but this has to perform a CSR operation. I'll go ahead and check the configuration for the forwarder here. So here in this case, we do not give the VIP address, but instead we'll give the web address of the central node, which is https://central:8443. And notice the difference here. If you in the old ZMQ instance, it uses destination VIP and server key, but in RabbitMq we are using destination address. I'll start the forwarder instance, forwarder agent in this similar manner. Have the forwarder running, but the status is bad. Let's go ahead and check here. So there's another pending request. I'll go ahead and approve this. This is coming from collector to forwarder. Check the status here. It should have gone to good. And I should have 2 of them. One coming from the forwarder on collector 2 box, and the other coming from node ZMQ in this case. It's proxy router. This needs to be changed to that of collector 1, which is a to do, but you can get that information from here. It's forwarder collector 1, and this is collector 2. So that is what we wanted to showcase here with the CSR operation. Do you have any questions on this?
Well, maybe people are digesting it. Well, we'll have this recorded so people can refer to it. So, okay, yeah, if there's no question on this, thanks for the demo. With that, any questions or any discussion points from anybody else?
quick question.
Uh-huh.
Dave Raker at UToledo. So is there, I assume there's still no way to interact with that without the web interface on Volttron Central? So the place that all of our stuff centrally connects to is pretty inaccessible from web browsers.
You can always, we have a Volttron control utility that you can use to sign the certificate and then copy it over to the other instances. You can do that as well.
Does that have the ability to do the approvals and such?
You don't need approvals. Some administrator is doing it manually using the command line interface and then copying it over. I mean, this is the automated process with the approval added in, but if you want to bypass it, then you'll have to do it through the command line interface.
Well, sure. One could still imagine a centralized place to do that, though. Or am I just missing the point? Maybe I'm missing the point. But
okay. So through the web interface, you have this approval process.
Sure.
But with the command line interface, oh, you mean to say that?
Well, so I mean,
you don't have connection to that instance?
So what are the options if you don't have if you can't use the web interface? I think is what he's asking.
Right. So I mean, you have a kind of a nice workflow here with a centralized point of dealing with things. Yeah, but you really need the web interface to use it. Has there been any thought to a command line tool that interacts with it the same way?
There have been discussions. It's not completely fleshed out yet, but we have the same Volttron control utility that can be used to generate the CSR signed certificate, and then you can copy it manually over to whichever box that needs it. It's not as pretty as the web interface here.
Sure.
But it can be done.
It can be done because for the federation setup, we have other use cases. So we are still thinking of best way to do that, but we are fleshing it out. So there will be web enabled interface and a command line interface as well.
Sure.
It's not completely fleshed out.
Yeah. I'm sorry to kind of belabor the point. It just, we could
fair.
use Volttron Central, but it would be a little cumbersome to actually interact with it. Yeah, so we just never really have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think that's that. Yeah, we can work.
Right now, it doesn't need to be attached to the central. Any platform that has web interface is sufficient to do the authorization or the authentication or the approval process. The same will be the case for something that is not web enabled and does not have Volttron Central in the mix, done through the command interface. But we haven't fully worked that out yet. But some things are ready. You have the ability to generate certificates. You have the ability to sign the certificate. You just have to copy it. We need to add SFTP into it to copy it over. It's not done yet.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, we can work with you on that use case.
Sure.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right. If not, well, then we'll call it an office hours. Thanks everybody for calling in. The videos are slowly making their way up to the website. The one that Srinivas presented all the applications. That one is up there now. And the MATLAB integration video is also available online. And if there's another one, you're still sharing your screen, Shweta?
I just realized.
No problem. If there's any other office hours that you're interested in getting the video for, just let me know. And if it's not posted yet, I'll make that one a priority for folks. So, all right. Thanks again. And one more plug, the Volttron users meeting is in August 29th to the 30th in Richland. And so if you're interested in that, just email Volttron@pnl.gov and we can give you more information. Thanks, everybody.